Okay, people, this is David. I'm coming to you, talking to you live, and I'm talking to you, the preppers out there. There's lots of you out there prepping for whatever mayhem may come your way. And you say you're ready. You do this and do that. You learn to fire this weapon and fire that weapon. But in truth, what actually happens is all depends upon Murphy's Law when it happens. Because whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And you know that. You can prep all your life, but the truth is, are you really ready? Whatever you think may be happening to bring you to a time where you need to bug out. Again, you really don't know. You speculate about things, but you really don't know. But you want to be ready in case anything happens to bug out and to go to your little protected hide place. And you willing to go all out, risk life and limb to get where you're going. But there's truth in it in everything that there is. Now, I'm 65 years old. And truth is, I might be able to walk 50 miles in one day. And that's been my plan the whole time. See, while you're putting stores of food up here and there, those stores of food only last for so long. They tell you you need to grow your own crops to do these things. For water storage, you need to be able to maintain a drinkable water and stuff like that. For protection, you need to protect yourself. You need to have some place to stay warm and comfortable. But yet, in reality, none of you really prepping for all this. Even I fall short. But to give you a little idea about what I've done, over the past 20 years, I've been prepping. See, I've lived out on the street. I've had to learn to do this job and that job, different things. I've learned to find out what type of dangers may come my way. Just because a man has a gun and pointed at me, unless that man has no empathy at all, he's never going to pull that trigger. But if he fears that I pose a danger to him, he's going to pull that trigger. So if he has got no empathy and he has fear of me, he's going to pull the trigger. So let's play on those two little things. I mean, I can't do anything about the empathy or feeling sorry for me, but I can make it so I don't pose a danger. My trick is that I'm only 5'6". I'm not imposing a big threat to anybody anyway. So I'm a small little man. And if I can make myself even smaller by walking with a cane hunched over, and I can ramble about this and that, whatever, never really angry, always laughing, joking back and forth. You see, in every small town, there is what's called the town fool, the idiot of the town. Ah, get out of here. Go, don't bother me. I got more important things. This is reality. This happens all the time. No matter what nationality you are, we all do the same thing to the town idiot. Just push him away. Why? Because that town idiot is no danger. just another mouthful to eat. Something that I've learned to do, I've learned to eat worms. Not the best taste, not the worst taste. There's certain insects that I've learned that is very helpful. You know, the cockroach is a good source of protein, just like the ant is. In certain places, they just grow abundantly all over. There's certain type of flies and stuff like that that are good to eat. Not the best of food, but they're good to eat. Everybody knows about the grasshopper now, and the locusts and the crickets. Cook them up, can eat them. Now imagine a short little old man, simple, kept over, rambling about, eating bugs and things like this. What are you going to do with this? I know what you're going to do to him. You're going to just push him away and say, get out of here. I don't want to fool with you. I'm not there to take your food. I'm just there passing through. And the very thing you say to me, just get out of here, go on. That's what I want. You're giving me what I want. When you give me what I want, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go on. Now, as far as food and stuff like that, I don't have to eat bugs and insects. You see, throughout the regions that I've been, and I've been pretty as far north as Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Colorado. I've been as far west as Utah, Nevada, and I've been far south as Texas, Florida, different places. And I remember a tale when I was a little boy about this guy named Johnny Appleseed who went across the country, couldn't harm a flea, couldn't harm a fly, but he planted apple trees all over the place. And everybody liked the apples that the man grew. Well, Johnny Appleseed tells this nice little tale. Except when you plant apples, everybody's going to eat your apples. You take a pack of pinto beans, you put it in your hands, and you can plant that in the ground and it'll grow. But what does it need to grow? Nothing more than just a little rain of water and it's going to grow. You take a simple potato and you cut it around where the eyes are at, and you make sure those eyes are where they can take root. Anyway, you plant those potatoes, and as long as you got a little water, they're going to start growing. Same thing with cabbage. You grow a cabbage, and you let it go to seed, and there's seeds come out of it and sprout from the roots. Take those, the seeds, and the roots, and transplant them. What do you think's going to happen? They're going to grow. Now, I've taken all types of fruits and natural vegetables throughout all these regions, and I know where they're at, and I planted them. And I planted them in places where people wouldn't think to look for them. And if they did see them, they would think it was wild and would know to eat it. I know to eat it because I know where they're at. They're all over the place. I know where they're at. I've got 20 years of finding these little places, planting these seeds and stuff like that. Yeah, some of it's not going to grow, but the majority of it is. And where I find it growing, guess where I'm going to go? I'm going to go where I know there's food at. People's not going to know this. Nobody else is because they're trampling through the woods and all. They're not going to pay attention to all this stuff. You don't have to have rows and rows of things or a crop to grow this stuff. No. All you have to do is have a hole in the ground. Wherever you can find that hole in the ground, you put them in there. But what about the wild animals that come by and dig them up? I estimate for that. And they may take up to 20, 30, maybe even 40% of everything they plant in the ground. But the thing is about an animal, they eat this and they take and poop out the seeds different places. So they're propagating what I'm growing in different places. So they're replanting. And you thinking it's just weeds and stuff. And people have not taken time to recognize what the wild native plants are here in America. And they were growing here, and Native Americans know these things. Corn isn't a native thing to America. Corn is something that's brought up from the south of Mexico, around Central America, places like that. And it's brought up to here, but there are things you have to do to grow corn to get it to go to seed to be able to plant it. If corn is left on its own, it's not going to grow. But then again, wheat, rye, and rice will grow. You ever wonder what would happen if you took a handful of wild rice that's untouched, whatever, and just threw it in the edge of a pond or threw it in the edge of a small creek or stream? What would happen? Same thing with the oats. You take oats and put it into a cow field where there's lots of cow manure and stuff like that all around, but you don't put it in the middle of the field where the cow's going to eat it. You take some of that cow patty and scatter around amongst a bunch of trees and stuff like that and throw those oats in it. What do you think is going to grow? And though some birds and squirrels and even the cows themselves may eat it, they're going to poop it out and it's going to start growing again. See, I know these things. Do you recognize this stuff in the wild? You get these hordes of about wild plants or edible wild plants. The thing is, you can rely on what you think you know about wild plants that are edible. Or if you have planted this stuff and you know what it looks like, and it is stuff that you normally eat, then you have to got to get used to it. And if you plant it in different places and it's growing up, all you have to do is just go there and get a handful, just enough to eat, then go on. Yeah, about every 25, 30 miles or so, I've got these plants all over the place. In places you wouldn't ever think about looking for it. Throughout the southeast, you can take potato plants and plant them right next to a field of kudzu. And you know, those potato plants would grow faster and stronger than what they ever could in a cultivated field. And nobody's going to mess with it. You take those beans, you plant it into a place where there's lots of ivy, wild ivy, and stuff like that growing all over the place. Nobody's going to recognize those beans. They're going to think it's just part of the ivy. After all, there's poison ivy and poison oak can hurt you, right? Not if you know what you're doing. So let's get wide. I've got food. I can walk about 50 miles a day. I don't need a weapon. So nobody's going to want to deal with me. I'm just a scraggly old man walking along the way, spouting this and that, eating bugs or whatever. He poses no threat. Just push him out of the way. We don't want to have to attend to him. Are you ready to live like that? I've watched peppers going from this place to that place, and every one of them winded up having to drive 2, 3 hours. Well, come what may, you may not be able to drive. You may not be able to make it till you bug out shelter. And for those that says, well, my shelter's underneath me, that I've already been planning for all this, and when I bug out, all I have to do is go in there and wait it out. Well, that's just it. Why are you willing to wait out? You thinking 3 or 4 months, then you come up. How do you catch a gopher? You piss around its hole, and the gopher comes up to see what's happening. And when it comes up, you chop off the head real fast, and you get your gopher meal. And all you had to do was just piss around the hole because they got curious that it might be rain, or he smells the urine and wants to know what it is pissing around his hole. He sticks his head up and you chop it off. Just that fast. Don't have to have a knife to chop it off. You can take a stick or rock and bat and just take it, bash his head in, poke him in the side or whatever. Either way, all those people that's in these little shelters underneath the ground, oh, you're just another gopher. You ever been to a turkey shoot or on a turkey hunt? You know, you never take to shoot the turkey at the top of the front of the line. You always shoot the turkey at the back of the line. Why? Because the ones in front, they're not worried about what's happening behind them. Except the one that's right directly behind you. And like the dodo, the turkey does too. You shoot the one behind you, and that one in front turns around and looks. The moment it does, you can take and shoot it. Then the next one turns around and looks, and you can shoot it. That's the strange thing about a turkey hunt. So, you take and you got all this stuff, and you got it all prepped up, and you think that you know what you're doing. You're in these little holes, and people are going to force you out. Who do you think they're going to go after first? They're going to go after the one that's at the rear. And what's going to happen when that one at the rear gets hurt or killed? You're going to pop your head up to see what happened. The moment you do, you're going to get popped. It's not the art of war. It's the art of survival. It's realistic. Let's get real about this, people. What is so real about all this? And when you prep it, and you're out there and you're prepping day in and day out to save your life, the truth is, you're not really prepared to really live off just the means of your hands and your wit. You're relying on all this other stuff, all this extra stuff, and it may not ever come to pass that you get to use any of it. There are things in the universe, and I'm writing a story about that can take and neutralize every electrical element there is in this earth. For how long, I don't know. But let me give you an example of what electrical there is in our universe. Every little fire, every little spark, all of that starts with a spark of electrical energy. That means you're going to fire that gut pistol and it's going to rely on a spark. That spark's not going to happen. Just want to know, How many of you have fired a weapon and then it misfired because something wasn't right about the blast or the spark coming from it? And it's frustrating because you have to clear the chamber and put another one in there. What's going to happen when you can't clear that chamber fast enough because all the bullets don't work? But then there's other ways. There's people that can use spears, slings, use bows and arrows and stuff like that. That's all fine and dandy. But what happens when all you got is just your wit? Or you say you got a knife then. Yeah, a knife is great. But then again, you're limited to just what the knife can do. Don't limit yourself. Use your brains and your smart. You got your evacuation route that you're going to go through. But if you're going to go through 25, 30 miles of desert to get where you're at, you have to understand for every 5 miles of walking in a desert, you need a gallon of water to survive. Period. For every 5 miles, you got to have a gallon of water. Well, you say you're going to walk at night. The temperature in the desert, even though it's as hot as it is, can drop to just as cold as it is hot. Example, out towards Arizona, New Mexico, the temperatures may get up to 100, 110 degrees, but at nighttime, the temperature can drop as low as 60. That fluctuation in change will wreak havoc on your body. Sleep during the day? No, you're not going to sleep much because it's too hot to sleep. So, you, dusk and dawn, you're going to walk. So, hottest time of days, you're going to be thirsty, can't get no water, or have limited access to water, too dark, too cold to walk. So, you're going to do whatever you can to stay warm, and more than likely, you're going to light a fire when you do that. But you got to remember, a single candle can be seen 20 miles away from you. The story of the GI that during World War II, even though a GI was a foxhole, one thing he didn't do was light a cigarette. Because just that, real quick, the Germans could beam in and shoot him. Even though he may be in a foxhole, and them in a foxhole, they know that wherever that spark of light is, there's a soldier there. So they aim to the dirt. You fire through the dirt. The soldier does what? He backs away to the other side. The moment he does, bam, right through the head. Natural reaction. So you're going to have a campfire that's greater than that. Stay warm in a cold desert and not expect to get shot at. No, let's get real. There's other ways you can stay warm. Yeah, I'd walk all night long. During daytime, when it's hottest, I'd make sure I have my water and stuff that I need. But you gotta remember, the most you're gonna do in a desert in a straight walk is about 5 miles in one day. But then I'm gonna use that dusk to sit down and rest and sleep. I'm gonna use that dawn to sit down and rest and sleep. Why? Because everything else is up and moving. They see an old man just laying on the ground sleeping late in the morning or early in the evening. They're not going to think nothing about it. I'm just that crazy old man. Leave him alone. No, I'm resting. While I'm resting, you're walking, and you're going to try to stay awake all night or have a fire to let everybody know what's going on. Preppers, you're not prepped. I know that National Geographic had to take off their TV show on it. And I've watched just about every episode and I laugh at them. This one man in California got a nice idea. Yeah, he's going to live off the land. Pretty good idea. And he's learning what to eat and what doesn't need to eat. Mr. Pepper says that he needs to have a good water source. They didn't have a good water source in Roman times, but yet there are little things that they could do to make that water safe to eat, to drink. They had these little cisterns, and if you don't know what that is, that's where the water flows to a certain place and puddles there. And as it puddles there, it gets to another level and it drops off to another place. And it goes there and builds up a little puddle there, then it drops off again. All the hard sediment settles to the bottom of that over and over. That's the reason why it's bad to drink water from a rock that's covered in moss than it is from a water just flowing over the rock without the moss. Because the moss absorbs all the bacteria and all the bad stuff in it, making it safer to drink. If it's just rock, no, the bacteria stuff in there is so strong it's killing all the moss in there. But then again, if you have a fire, did you know that the charcoal from the fire can be used to settle the stomach? It can also be used to filter any bacteria and viruses through the water. Not all of it, but a good bit of it, make it safe to drink. Did you know that? You take a reed, blow all the center out of it. You take it, stamp it into some sand. Then you stamp it into some clay. And then you stamp it into some charcoal. Take a mouthful of water, holding the end, make sure you don't blow it all out. Slowly put that water in there. And watch the water come out through the charcoal. The moment it starts coming out through the charcoal where it's clear, that water is safe to drink. So you put a mouthful in there, and it comes out, suck it through the bottle. You got to make sure you use your tongue so you don't suck the charcoal out. But that's good water to drink. Just because the water flows through a rock coming from the mountain doesn't mean that it's safe. Because there's natural old deposits and stuff like that in that water that can hurt you just as bad as any bacteria or virus. So you don't want to do that. And some people can get used to it. They naturally drink it anyway. They go and they tap a willow tree or locust, poplar, aspen, or something like that, and they'll take and put a bottle or some kind up there, catch that fluid coming from the tree into there, and they'll use that and drink it. That's all fine and dandy. That's the way you're supposed to do it. But when you do that, you just leave a little trail for others to know where you're at. And if they don't know where you're at, they'll just sit back and wait till you come back to get you a drink of water. Pop you off. So you have to think about what you're doing. Yeah, I smoke. Did you know there's such stuff that's called wild sage? And you can roll that up and crumble it up and put it into a pipe and smoke it. Do you know what that smoke does around you? It repels mosquitoes, bugs, stuff like that from around you. Did you know the stinkiest animal out there is not the skunk or the muskrat or any animal that's spraying uh, odors around? You know what the stinkiest animal is? It's the human. Wild animals know where you are at all times. Know this, you're pissing on the side of a tree or around your campfire or around your campsite. Let every one of those wild animals know that you're there. Now, if something is terribly wrong with those wild animals, they're going to avoid where you're at. That's just their natural instincts to do that. But if you take and lay down and just go to sleep someplace, and an animal happen upon you because they didn't smell you, didn't know you were there, you're going to startle them. It's like any other wild animal. You startle them, you scare them, they're going to fight. I guarantee you. Even the beaver and the raccoons can do a lot of harm to you before you have a chance to even get a lick in anyway. Anyway, I was hoping I'd get somebody to talk to me here, but nobody's saying anything. Nobody coming in, so let's just end this. Let's get real people. Prepping. Most people don't know what they're doing when they're prepping. Even I gotta admit I don't know what I'm doing. Well, at least I'm smart enough to know that. All these others, they're not that smart. Anyway, bye 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 bye. Bye bye bye.